Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And I'm going to try and not come in the way of lunch and you. So I'll try to wrap up this presentation rather quickly, which means I'll remove my watch and watch it while we're making this presentation. So I'll start this. So this presentation really has two provocations, and that's what I want to leave you with along with your lunch, which is that number one, peer review is extremely important to be able to bring together communities and to be able to effect any kind of change in society. And I hope to walk you through that through the first part of this presentation. The second part of this presentation, and maybe I should just shamelessly read up the notes from the person who was supposed to make this presentation was my co-founder. The second provocation that I want to leave you with is that privacy is not a product. Privacy is a state, and it's a position of relative power against a counterparty, similar to health or education and knowledge. So hopefully I will try to help you digest these heavy things before you get to lunch. And on that note, let's begin. This is really, the first part of the presentation talks about what we've been doing at Hasgeek, and then it leads into the whole provocation around why privacy and how we need to think about privacy in society, and therefore to think about the larger questions around digital health and digital identity and the consumer. When we started in 2010, what we noticed was that the startup era was one that was fairly disruptive, and it was disruptive both for the society as well as for organizations itself, which meant that organizations were trying to run on thrift, on hustle, etc. They had cohesive teams, they had very distinct domains, and I think we've seen a lot of specialization here today. But the huge challenge used to be, and it still continues to be, is that a practitioner inside an organization rarely gets the kind of feedback on the work that they're doing. Are they solving the problems that need to be solved? Is that an approach that you really need to consider? Are there other approaches that you can consider to solving your problems? And I think this, the presentation we had before this presentation and the discussion that happened here clearly highlights the fact that all of us who are sitting in this room are here because we're engaging in this common activity, which is that we're here to listen to debate, and that's also why we become a community. So while we saw a lot of disruption in the last decade and a half in terms of what we've been doing as a country in terms of startups, one of the huge challenges used to be is that, and it still continues to be, is that you do not get the kind of domain feedback and the detailed feedback. So where do you go to? And this is what we tried to solve at Hasgeek, which is that we said our theory was that if we have to kind of change society, if we change the way in which technology works, and if we have to make technologists think about their craft and their practice beyond just being technology, we have to build a peer network that allows for feedback. The same kind of discussions that we are seeing over here, where we are asking questions of each other and asking, are these the solutions that we want to build for privacy, for managing patient data, and for ensuring trust? What we've done in the last decade, and I think it's been 12 years that Hasgeek has been around, and this theory that peer review is very important for the community and for building communities, is that we've gone all the way to evaluating various things that have been happening in society. We've been talking about open APIs this morning, and I know that some of us have also been exchanging debates about, are these APIs really good? Are they really open in that sense? We've been discussing, are apps secure? Is citizens' data or is your own health data, not just as a medical practitioner, but as a consumer, safe or not? And these were the kind of discussions that really were something that we got people to start asking. And this is starting from 2010 onwards, where serious practitioners came and said, we not just want to talk about our work, but also about who we are at the end of the day. That it doesn't matter that you're a programmer. What really matters is your personal identity, is your personal data safe, is it secure? How do you kind of look at your own data and your own security? So this is really what we did, which is, what is happening here. We just got people together to talk, to discuss, and to essentially speak about how they were practicing their craft and how they were doing their technology. And we went all the way from looking at the web, which was UI and JavaScript at that point in time, going all the way up to big data and cloud. And we've had these discussions and debates even around very specific issues such as Aadhaar. But before I come to Aadhaar, let me essentially talk about what this has led to in terms of building this community where people are giving domain feedback and are giving feedback to each other outside of their organizations. And one of the landmark things that really happened as a part of this whole community building process was in 2016, when most of us started getting these messages that, Airtel is not, you're going to pay more. And this was the Save the Internet movement, where the whole net neutrality debate was getting compromised. Now, For those of us who do not know, and tomorrow Ramanjit is going to be here, who's one of the founders of the Internet Freedom Foundation, is that that network really came together because people felt and cared so deeply about the fact that the internet is not going to be free to access if this were to kind of go through. And this is something that was enabled, and it was enabled because there was already this culture that was built in terms of saying, we have to be able to give feedback to the government on its policies and to be able to critique it openly and in a forum that allows people to be heard. And as you'll see over here, this was the victory that happened when Dr. R. Sharma passed the law saying that no, net neutrality will not be compromised. And this was the community that we had enabled. And it was great that because we were in the background. And so you can see that people are celebrating over here the fact that they came together, they were able to give this kind of feedback to policymakers. Now, segueing into this, what we understood from the whole net neutrality debate was that it's not just about the internet and about telecommunications, but it's also about what's going to happen to us as individuals and how your own identity is going to get assessed and evaluated. And this is where we had, in 2017, started getting feedback and communities together to discuss the questions around identity and privacy. So back in 2016-17, there was a massive debate going on about whether Aadhaar was technically secure or not. Whether it's as an identity system, does it even adhere to standards that allow you to kind of interrogate and to question and to cross-question? And these were debates that we enabled from 2017, 2018 onwards, including people like Anand Venkat Narayanan, who went and spoke about how data quality was being compromised by a $6 billion project, and then went all the way to Africa to depose similarly in the case of the Huduma Namba case. And I think here's where I want to kind of bring the second provocation into the picture, which is to say that privacy is not a product. It is something that you actually build and thrive for, and it's a culture that we all have to create. Which is that if you think about how you get educated, you not just buy a course and install it in your brain, or how you lose weight. You don't just buy a diet plan and install it in your body. You have to work your way through it. Our society is set up where there's a 20-year period in which you have to kind of struggle to kind of become that educated person. You have to go through a certain cliff and a learning cycle and a whole cycle that involves your mind and body in terms of being able to kind of lose weight or become healthy. And I think that's where the whole challenge is right now, which is that as a society, we become so consumerist that we think that privacy is a product. And let's take this, this joke, for example, which is that often we say, oh, WhatsApp is secure because, all our conversations are encrypted. But there is journalist Navika Kumar who goes on stage and says that, oh, I can read the next person's WhatsApp messages and, display it on national news to everybody. So then is WhatsApp your privacy? No, it's not your privacy. It is something that enables, or rather it's a tool that allows you to do something that makes something private. And I think that's a discussion we've been having since morning, and I'm expecting that that discussion will continue over the next 1.5 days, which is that when we say that we're doing privacy, we're not creating privacy. We're doing things that enable and allow you to do privacy. So whether you're making policies, whether you're creating systems that allow your patient data and records to be secure, etc. And that's the part that I think we need to be cognizant of, that if we have to come together as a community to think about these aspects of digital identity, health records, etc., we have to be able to think about that cliff that one has to go through and as a culture that we have to kind of create in order to build privacy. Let's see. This was a survey that we did in 2020 to understand what was the state of privacy in technology in India itself. And the survey was conducted across India in the peak of COVID. And I think some of the survey responses that we got were also from the domains of health and health technology. And these were some of the key findings we had, where individuals felt that privacy is extremely important. Now, but does that reflect when you build your products and services? Well, actually, that challenge continues to be there. It's a fairly onerous challenge. And that challenge pervades across all kinds of organizations, large, medium, and small. Which is to say that, one, there are no dedicated roles which allow you to kind of look at managing privacy and to look at managing conflicts that arise because of privacy, in building privacy in product. Secondly, there are no institutionalized playbooks. And lastly, which is very important and ties back to the first provocation which I put, is that there is rarely that kind of peer group or feedback that's available inside or even outside of organizations that allows you to interrogate and question whether what you're doing is actually privacy enhancing or not. So I encourage some of you to look at this survey and also to think about it in the context of your own work and your own institutions. Having said that, that's really one of the forums that we've tried to create, and I'm very glad that this confluence has come together with the CMC Symposium, National Symposium on AI and Health Data, and that I think that Dr. Joy, Dr. Hannah, and Dr. Balu have done a really yeoman service at this point in time to bring this debate over here, which is extremely important. And I hope that this continues for many years forward. And with that, I will get out of the way of your lunch. Thank you very much.
Can probably have one question. Balu.
Zainab, thank you very much. And this is an association which started just 3 months back. So, and if you wish, for a medical person, if you need to know what Zainab's organization is about, Hasgeek is something similar to a journal, medical journal, where we publish our medical findings. Similar to that, if there is a technology product, they are the people who will get the independent reviewers to actually go through your product and get reviews on good and bad side of it, so that if you are open to criticism and developing things over it and changing policy, that's one of the forum which does that service, and I commend them for the work that they're doing. Thank you.